when Ram Mandir happened, one of the largest community of people who came visiting there were from Tamil Nadu. Waqf board can come and just put a notice that this is Waqf property and this is their property, and now you have to go and prove that this is not a Waqf property. They got Muslim anti-social elements and allowed them to rape these women. Original constitution, there was no secularism word also.
Something just happened a month before election, the CA Act.
Why you have to say that? Be proud of being Hindu. You don't have to say that. Yeah, if you are aware, you don't say that. If you are saying that, you are not convinced about it.
ये Godi media को represent कर रहे हैं, तो this whole narrative rides along with this. So what do you feel about this?
This
Provided you are from News 18 only.
कल आपको सारे मिनिस्टर हेलो जी कैसे हो आप, अरे आइए ना, आज आपसे बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. It hurts. And Kennedy believed that in Asia it shouldn't be China but India, because India is a democracy, to have the nuclear power. And Nehru uncle refused.
दोस्तों कैसा लगेगा आपको अगर आपको ये पता चले कि अभी तक जितनी भी हिस्ट्री आपने ऑथेंटिक सोर्सेज से पढ़ी हुई है, मैं एनसीईआरटी बुक्स की भी बात कर रहा हूँ, मैं कुछ न्यूज़पेपर पब्लिकेशंस की भी बात कर रहा हूँ, जो भी अभी तक आपने पढ़ा है वो सब एक बहुत बड़े प्रोपेगेंडा का पार्ट था और असल में आप तक कभी रियलिटी पहुंची ही नहीं. कुछ इस तरह ही इस पॉडकास्ट में मेरा एक्सपीरियंस रहा था. आज के हमारे गेस्ट है एक बहुत ही फेमस ऑथर और न्यूज़ 18 और फर्स्ट पोस्ट के ओपिनियन एडिटर उत्पल कुमार सर. इस कन्वर्सेशन में हमने बहुत सारी चीज़ों के बारे में बात करी, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम योर सेक्युलरिज्म टू गोदी मीडिया, प्रोवाइडेड वो न्यूज़ 18 से खुद है. तो ये कन्वर्सेशन एक बहुत ही रॉ और अनबायस्ड तरीके से करी गई थी. एंड ओवरऑल personally this was very mind opening for me, because I also got to know that there are so many things that we have been reading completely in a false sense. So I really hope that this podcast will give a very different perspective to all the people out there who are confused कि भाई आजकल scene क्या चल रहा है about politics, about Indian history and everything. So without any delay, let's directly roll in to this podcast. AP Podcast, rolling in 3, 2, 1. First of all, Utpal sir, thank you so much for coming on AP Podcast. Amazing book. I'm still reading it. I haven't read it completely, but it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. It's really my pleasure.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here.
So, moving towards the conversation, I want to start this conversation with something which is very contemporary. Something just happened a month before election, the CA Act, which was there in news for a long time. There was a news कि ये होगा नहीं होगा, and I don't want to get into the dynamics of it, but just to put this out in perspective from a college going folk also, and from the young perspective also, as how I see this, I get mixed opinions. अरे CA है, this is anti-Muslim act, and ये तो government is showing their majoritarianism, their authoritarianism and all that stuff. And also in one of your articles you wrote that this act is anti-Dalit also, sort of that.
Yeah, no, I didn't write anti-Dalit. I said not pushing it is anti-Dalit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on that note only, I would like your perspective.
See, that's exactly the reason why I wrote this book, Aftab. Look at this, we tend to believe that we have got a very strong government, but look at their, power in controlling the narratives. They are mostly reactive rather than proactive. Like CA, you read the entire this thing. 90% of people might not have read also what is there in CA. CA had nothing to do with Muslims, Indian Muslims. There is not even a mention of Indian Muslims there. It is about people of 3 neighboring countries. Mm-hmm. So Indian Muslim doesn't have to worry about it all. There is no mention also. Look at this. And but you are right. This narrative is there that Muslimanon ke khilaf hai ye. So you can look how weak they are, and that's where I thought my book. I started thought about writing the book, because not on just this aspect, but many other aspects also. They're always on back foot, like Kisan Andolan also, for instance. Kisan, the issues which BJP brought in the legislation were agreed upon by Congress and AAP also in their manifestos. But look, no one talks, no one reads. It's all about, headlines. It's also about the projections. And somehow, BJP is still learning the trick. They're doing better. Like when it started, you remember Awad Wasi was there, church attacks were there. All they were motivated campaigns. Later, they found out that the church attack happened from inside, and it was not the part of any organized attack on Christians. It came out. But at that time, it became a big issue. So that's what is also CA. Now CA को आप देखें, CA क्या है? India's neighborhood में minorities पे attack हो रहे हैं. Minorities की number कम है. Statistically also, पाकिस्तान में less than 2% population is Hindus right now. They used to fight a lot. Bangladesh में at the time of partition, Hindus were 33%, one third of. At the time of creation of Bangladesh, 1971, it was about 20%. Today they are less than 8%. And I remember talking to one of my friends who wrote a book, Being Hindus in Bangladesh, Deep Haldar. And he has quoted one Bangladeshi scholar who is a professor of Dhaka University, Barkat Ali or something like that. And that professor is very renowned, intellectual. He, in his research, found out that there might not be any minority in Bangladesh after 30 years if the trend continues. In this
minority as in Hindu minority.
Hindus, yeah. Because they were the largest one. So if this is the situation where their own intellectuals are saying that 3 decades down the line there might not be any minorities left in that country if the current trend continues, then we need to have that kind of CA kind of things. So that you may ask why left out Muslims. So there are arguments for that, Basically the argument is that one is a misinformation. Second is some people are saying, genuinely saying that आप मुसलमान का भी डाल देते नाम, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Ahmadiyas are being targeted, Shias are being targeted, Bohras are being targeted. That argument can be still said. It's not anti-Muslim, but this argument can be put in. कि हाँ ये डालने में क्या बुरा था? The logic of the government of India is, what I believe, and certain people, and I also like to believe that. One is that it is happening in a country which is Muslim majority. One. So they can apply to this country citizenship through normal ways and not this exclusive way which has been created for real people who are suffering. You can't compare the plight of Hindus or Christians in Pakistan with the plight of, say, Shias. They are different. They are graded one. Second thing, historically you see, country will look at these people with some suspicions. Historically, I'm saying, they are the very people whose ancestors took part in the partition of country, went back there. So there will be some part of suspicions. So that's also coming up there. What is the guarantee that tomorrow they'll come and again say, no, we want another part of it. So that is a kind of an argument. But to say that it's anti-Muslim is complete fallacy, is complete bumkum. There is no mention of Muslim per se, especially Indian Muslim. उनका उससे कुछ लेना देना ही नहीं है CA का.
And how about the Dalit factor that you were talking about?
Yes. See what happens, कहीं भी आप देखिए, historically this is a phenomena. Any crisis happens, so rich, educated, elitist people, वो पहले निकल जाते हैं. They have the access to understand कि ये होने वाला है. For instance, I'll give you an example. One of the book is there, I forget the name, which mentioned that crores of rupees of banks in West Pakistan, which is Pakistan, shifted their bases months before partition happened. So it can't be a coincidence. They had the information that this is going to happen. Go. So rich people always had the access. उसमें भी कुछ unfortunate होते हैं. They are always unfortunate. But largely it's the poor people who get caught up. One, because they don't have the understanding about complete thing. Second thing is, they also are, their life is so stuck that, and for them living and going is too too daring a thing to do, and you want to stick to your land. For rich, it's like we have, like what happened in Bengal. All these Bhadralok, rich people, they shifted in 1947 when partition happened from Bangladesh, East Pakistan. And they had their relatives in Calcutta. So उनको shift करने में दिक्कत नहीं हुआ. But when poor people came, they had to suffer everything. They don't have any access here, any good contacts here. Bureaucracy में contact नहीं है, politician में contact नहीं है. So when they came, then something like Mari Jhapi happened in 1979. Mari Jhapi massacre, where thousands of Bangladeshi untouchables who came to India were massacred by progressive left-wing government of Jyoti Basu. They were massacred in the way that, like they were well, for instance. And Marjapi is an island in Sundarbans. So वहाँ वाले well है. So what police did, they put poison in the well. Now this is not the way to deal with, forget about your own people, but any people in the world. They got Muslim anti-social elements and allowed them to rape this woman. This is on record, I'm saying. These are all
and
on
this
record.
was
This
being
happened
governed by the actual governing bodies.
It was government. It was done by government. No one talked about it. Because they were Dalits, no one talked about it. That's what happened in West Pakistan also. Most of the people who stayed back were Dalits. So today, you see big photograph of Ambedkar in all these, protest movement talking about. But they are the child of Ambedkar.
But
they are the child of Ambedkar. They are Ambedkar fought for and Ambedkar actually, if you read Pakistan book of Ambedkar, it's an eye-opening book, much ahead of his time. Ambedkar haven't talked about transfer of population. Ambedkar was absolutely clear about how he saw Pakistan. He said, you can't deal with Pakistan. This problem will happen tomorrow also. Because they see the other community as the other. The very idea Pakistan chose to become different, but because they thought that they can't live with this India.
Is it because Pakistan is a country which is made on the basis of a country which is कि उसका जो पूरा fundamental है, that is religion?
You see, religion, for instance, religion Indonesia, Malaysia में भी है. Religion, Malaysia is
UAE में भी है, Dubai में.
वही बोलो, Dubai is there. Malaysia for certain reasons. They are Muslim majority states, but they have not cut off their roots from their cultural past. They still celebrate Ramayana there, Mahabharata there, Ram they celebrate. So when you see that as a culture, then there is no problem. When you see Ram as a cultural phenomena, you won't have a problem with Ram Mandir and Ayodhya. But then you say, okay, they are our ancestors. We might have converted, but culturally we belong to the same people. Problem with Pakistan is something which, V.S. Naipaul wrote in his book. He said, when you start looking at your origins from the raids of Muhammad bin Qasim in 712 AD, then there is a problem. Then you are completely turning your eyes off from such a big civilization as Indus Valley civilization. वो तो आपका अपना है. आपके लोग थे ना, इसे थोड़े कहीं और से आए थे. Indus Valley civilization, हड़प्पा एंड मोहनजोदारो, which is today in Pakistan, उन्हीं के लोग आज कन्वर्ट होकर बने होंगे ना मुस्लिम, पाकिस्तानी जो हैं. But official record says the first citizen of Pakistan is Muhammad bin Qasim. If you cut off your history like that, you completely refuse to look at your own roots. That's a root. And you deny your roots, then you will happen. That's what happened. Who was Muhammad bin Qasim? Factually, I'll tell. Muhammad bin Qasim was the same person who invaded Sindh and killed the ancestor of the same people who today converted in Pakistan. That's the history. Later they converted, but initially most of them are the ancestor of Raja Tahir and the people who are their ancestors. They all didn't come from Saudi Arabia or from Syria or from Iraq. So, but then your history gets so molded when you convert it that you start denying your own roots. That's the problem with Pakistan. Pakistan looks at itself from the prism of anti-Indiaism. उसके लिए है कि इंडिया ये है तो हमें यहाँ रहना है.
This is not with any other country, specifically with India.
Especially India. For their entire existence is about that. In fact, I remember a very beautiful, anecdote which Ambassador, Rajiv Dogra wrote in Where Borders Bleed. He mentions, quoting one big politician in Pakistan, he was asked by one of his colleagues that what is your earnest desire, one desire which you want to have. And this guy, was sitting on a chair and he took out both hands like this and said, I want to have atom bombs in both the hands, and I want to drop one on Mumbai and one in Delhi. Now this is the mindset. With this mindset, there is a problem. This is all India is. It has nothing to do with Kashmir. It has nothing to do with Muslim persecution. It is just that they see as antithesis. They see the existence at the fact that they have to fight India. The day they stop fighting, their entire region of existence ceases to exist. So that's the problem.
And also, I think the Middle East is also in persuading always this Pakistan. And you also have China as your neighbor.
See, China will do for different reasons. मैं आपको बोलूँ कि आप इनको मार दो और आप मारने जाओ तो गलती आपकी है. People will provoke you for doing whatever they want to do for their own. For China, it's always good that India-Pakistan fights. One, that gives them opportunity. What is China doing today? China has completely colonized Pakistan. Pakistan doesn't even realize that. Pakistan has become a colony of China. The kind of the way it's being treated. When the people of Pakistan are being treated. एक कोई Chinese वहाँ कुछ हो जाता है उनके गदर वो पोर्ट पे. So the way they treat the rest of the population there, they treat it like colony. And trust me, this will only get worsened. This will only get worsened with passing day. China is a different beast. The way they treat their own people in Xinjiang. And these people talk about the Muslim rights and everything. They don't even know that they don't even allow Quran to read. They have changed the version of Quran in Xinjiang. This is China is doing. And these people are happily shaking hands. So this is more of political optics. They don't realize it, what they're dealing with. Their entire focus is on India right now, which is a wrong thing. But then that's how it is.
Also, in one of your interviews, I don't exactly remember the exact quote, but you were mentioning that for a liberating world or a liberating country, you need one law to govern all. So how does that make sense, especially when it comes to country like India? You have multiple linguistic barriers. आपके पास इतने सारे cultural bifurcations हैं कि आप at a moment एक चीज़ के हिसाब से चल ही नहीं सकते हैं.
I agree with you. In fact, my chapter 4 of the book, Code Commandments chapter, there I talk about that. This is actually to paint the entire world in one color is the greatest travesty. The nature has allowed us to remain different. So let's not put in one saffron color or green color. But there had to be certain basic rules. That rule we can't the certain rule you can't rape a girl. You have to give certain respect to girls. That's a basic. You can't do that. What happens in Afghanistan today is that girls should be allowed equal rights than to the boys. Afghanistan not allowing. That's those kind of things. There's certain minimum kind of thing where you can't compromise on that. Like 3 marriages, for instance, triple talaq, for instance. Now, even Muslim countries are opposed to that. So even if you're not ready for that, at least start debating. Deliberating on that. Is it right? Are we actually evolving with the rest of the world? Is the right way to do? Is it intrinsic to Islam? Do we need to evolve? I think that dialogue should definitely start. I think the problem is happening. The dialogue is also not started in certain quarters. And certain quarters, I think they feel this thing that हम तो इसे defend नहीं करेंगे भाई because now this is our identity. That's not identity. Identity, your culture is identity.
Your roots.
Yes. So that you need to understand. And the roots can be very different from each other. Root doesn't have to be one. Like India is a country where so many languages are there. I sincerely believe that North Indians should definitely learn. There should be provision in the schools to learn one South Indian language. Tamil is a great language to learn. Put it, entire the language war will end. And make it compulsory for the South Indian to learn one North Indian language. What is wrong in learning? What is wrong in accepting? What is wrong in learning Urdu, for instance? There's nothing wrong. But my point is, you just need to learn Urdu, or you just need to learn Hindi. Problem will happen there, and that's against the basic Indic phenomena. Indic phenomena has been about that. That's why so much of you find diversity in this country. You don't find anywhere in the world so many languages, so many cultures living together. And this we have to protect. But when I say that CA kind of thing, I'm saying uniform civil code. I use the common civil code more. Uniform is a very wrong word. You shouldn't be informing everyone. This should be common kind of rule. Common civil code we need kind of thing. Because there can't be differences on basic human rights. About that. So yeah.
But when you say that dialogue has not started, should we blame the people, the system, or the politicians? Because if the dialogue starts and the actual image of India being one nation and everyone is with everyone standing hand to hand and सब लोग भाई बहन जो भी whatever the term is वैसे रह रहे हैं, so how will the politicians get their vote banks?
Exactly. But then somewhere, see, that's why I believe that it's more than the failure of politicians. It's the failure of the community leaders. Community leaders.
Community leaders. Okay.
See what happens. Politicians will do whatever. Trust me. No politician today government you think that they are doing certain kind of they have taken certain pro-Hindu mode.
Yes.
You may believe they have taken precisely because that's the mood of the people. People are fed up with certain kind of policies where Prime Minister says that minority has the first right of nation's resources. This is not secularism. This is not secularism, for God's sake. This can't be secularism. Means you stay religion out of it. If you want to really follow it, then follow it. You can't allow Waqf board. You read the provision of Waqf, section 40. Section 40 says that this land where we are talking right now, you and me, Waqf board can come and just put a notice that this is Waqf property and this is their property. And now you have to prove, you have to go and prove that this is not a Waqf property.
Even if I have the papers? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You have to, and where you have to go and prove?
In the Waqf
in
board.
the Waqf board. You don't have to go to the court. Now this is not a secular. Is this a secular law? Problem is with that, and that's what the reaction comes. See, when you do over things, people will then realize. See what happened today. Hindus have started thinking them like Hindus. I went to Banaras and I asked, I was in BHU also, and I asked one guy about, kya naam hai? And then I tried asking about his caste. You know what he said? He said, I'm Hindu. He didn't mention his caste. He must be some caste. He didn't. Doesn't this make a change? This is a change. And why is happening? Because other people, they are also realizing that, maybe it's a vote bank politics where numbers only matter. That's why we are dividing in caste, so that's why the people are not thinking. So let's become like that. And if this continues for next 20 years, do you think even the Congress or the other party will start behaving like that? वो किसी सगे थोड़े होते हैं.
Majoritarianism.
Politicians are like that. Politicians are like that. So point is, any extreme, and that's why this failure of the community leaders, I say. Community leaders will realize that what is good, how to take the community along. I'll do such a committee we all talk about. Such a committee का report का जो basic premise था, जो finding था, this said कि poorest Muslims are in West Bengal. There were never a Hindutva quote-unquote government in West Bengal. Never had. You always had a CPM government, Congress, CPM, and now Mamata Banerjee. And they have got the poorest Muslims in the country. Why? Because they have been kept that way. And community leaders are very happy with that thing. Unfortunately, people are also not raising the issue. So they will remain. If you want to be a slave of certain ideological vote bank machinery, then you are going to suffer somewhere or the other. So that's what is happening.
But where does the solution lies? Or if not the solution, but the grey scale?
Solution or whatever it is only lies with the community. No one. Like in my book, I categorically said, if Muslims don't want UCC, please don't give UCC. Hindus का कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Hindus will actually get hurt by that. क्या फायदा हुआ हिंदू? Hindus already accepted the Hindu code bill mid-50s. It's just political gimmicking for Hindus, I'm saying. But if Muslims don't want, it's okay. Let them live in the medieval world. For Hindus, I talk from a Hindu point of view. As a citizen, I believe that there should be. Because as a citizen, I believe it's my integral. But as a Hindu, when I come back and say, you are painting entire Hindus as a authoritarian people, यहाँ पे UCC क्यों ला रहे हो यार? मुसलमान को आप तंग कर रहे हो? तो मत लाओ. किसको फायदा हुआ? You live with a triple talaq. Who is suffering? Muslim will be suffering. You live with the old archaic laws. My point is, the ulama is having the gala time of the thing. I said, instead, Hindus should focus on getting their temples back. Hindus, in a secular country, we call ourselves a secular state. Hindus' temples are still being operated and run by state. What a great secular state we are. Not any other institutions, minority institutions. Only Hindu temples. Why? Because Hindu temples have a lot of money. So they controlled it. Why? Why secular state should control? No one asked the question. No one asked this basic question that why should secular state even do anything to do with temples? Even Kerala controls more than 3,000 temples. Kerala, the communist government of Kerala, which believes that religion is opium, they also control because there's money involved. And look at it. And like there are people in all communities who believe that, like when Ram Mandir was happening, they said, instead of temples, let's build hospitals, schools. Why not? Education is important. I'm sure this is a very, very remarkable
This is a very viral argument.
Yeah, very. Now, even if you take this argument in the temple control, R.S. Ramesh is fighting the case for temple liberation in Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu has maximum 36,000 temples under state control.
Yeah.
36,000. Now, his finding says that, and temple has a lot of land and everything. Historically, they always had. So those lands are given rent. The actual market price of today on rent, if there is 100 rupees, which the state should get for the renting those properties, state is just getting one rupees out of 100. 99 rupees are taken by corrupt elements. It doesn't come to government treasury. So it's not helping the secular cause also. It's helping the corrupt. So there is no even like a reason why states should control. One is against secularism. Two, it also gives a very bad image of Hindus that Hindu can't run their institutions. Everyone can run, but Hindu can't. But it's a folly of Hindu state, Hindu society. It's not the folly of government. Government to karegi. See, all governments want to do is get the easy money so that they can provide chawal, 4 rupees में chawal दे दें, 2 rupees में आटा दे दें, उनका populism चले. Hindu society also not asked for that. Like Muslim society not asked for UCC. Not asked for reforms. Like similarly, Hindu society also feel that ठीक है सरकार कर रही है. We have come माई बाप गवर्नमेंट ना मेंटेलिटी हो गया. सरकार कर रही है अच्छा ही है. हम क्यों गया है उसमें यार? हम जाके मंदिर में प्रणाम कर लेते हैं बहुत हो गया. This is the mindset. That's why it's happening. Today Hindu society wakes up and says we want this. All government will do. This is democracy. Trust me. 15% of Muslim population in this country, they would to vote unitedly, and this government would fall backward to appease them because they were a solid vote bank. It's always about that. It's always, and it always will in democracy will be about this. So, but then things are now, ऐसे कि things are changing. As I said, I found in Banaras somebody refused to say his caste. I repeatedly asked, I said, caste बता तो दीजिए. I said, नहीं, मैं हिंदू. So this, and that's why you see now UP में BJP is winning beyond the caste barriers. Like we had a survey yesterday, our News 18 survey. We said BJP might win 77 out of 80 seats. So because Hindus are now seeing in a different light. They see, okay, we also can, okay, we will be, I will be Brahmin, I will be Thakur, I will be this, but we will vote like a Hindu. I think this works that way. This is a reaction of what has happened for the last 7 decades.
Do you feel this is a civilizational change that was much needed from Hindus?
See, they have no other way out, frankly speaking. Because when you push your luck too much, like, I'll give you an example. How secularism came in democracy, in Indian constitution. Original constitution, there was no secularism word also. You know why? There was a long discussion happened in Constitutional Assembly. Ambedkar participated, Rajendra Prasad participated, Nehru participated. And it was unanimously decided that we will not put word secularism there. There must be some reason for that. Because secularism doesn't fit in. India is not West. India never had, this country never had the struggle between state and papacy. Here, inherently, culturally, they all work together. When I say dharma is not religion, I mean. Dharma is duty. Dharma is untranslatable in English. Like माँ का धर्म क्या है, बाप का धर्म क्या है. We always use that term. Dharma is more of a duty. Dharma used to be always above the king. That's why king in Indian context would never be a strong king, would never be a tyrant. Ideally. Mahabharata mein there is a sloka which says that if a king turns tyrant and doesn't follow dharma, he's a mad dog, he's to be thrown away. He's to be killed, thrown away. So this is the with perception, and that's why in other places when the king was strong, state was strong, it would become tyrannical. In India, there was a very amazing phenomena. till the time British came. Even after Mughals were there used to be strong state and strong society. They both coincided with this. And why there used to be strong society? Precisely because society was not dependent on Mai-Baap state, which first British ensured, and later post-independence our socialistic policy ensured that we look to state for everything. अरे यार रोड नहीं बना रहे हैं यार, अरे यार ये गंदगी कौन है, खुद गंदा फेंक रहे हैं रोड पे, घर साफ करके रोड पे फेंक दिया. But they will expect that municipality guy will come and clean that. This is the Mai-Baap state. You look at the state for everything and don't do yourself. Look how Gujaratis do. I'm just a small example. Oh, how Jews do Israel. Israel is just a very small country. They will do on their own. Any culture which is done well when society owns up the responsibility and doesn't look at the state for everything. That's a Mai-Baap state. Yeah, they do. And that's what Hindus became after British came. Before that was not the case. Why? Because temples were there. And temples in Hindu, in Indic scheme of things, temples were not just place of worship. Temples used to provide education. They used to build roads. You read Chola inscriptions in down south, Tamil Nadu. And said they used to build dams also. Temples would provide money to merchants going on overseas trade. Overseas trade used to be very dangerous. Na? कोई पता नहीं था गए और आएंगे कि नहीं आएंगे. वहीं कुछ जहाज डूब गई, क्या होगा? So कौन देगा? So temples. राजा नहीं देता था, state नहीं देता था. So that's why state didn't matter. राजा आए गए, state, the society was okay with that. Till the time attacks don't happen on the village, raids, which started happening post arrival of Muhammad Godi and all these people. The villages would remain as it is. Kings may change. So उनका अपना जो ecosystem था, it will remain as it is, precisely because they had this temple system and they have got education system. And Dharamapal, in his book The Beautiful Tree, it's a beautiful book, 300 pages old. He quotes a British official of Bengal, Punjab, and Madras Presidency. He's not writing on his own. He's quoting higher British officials like Munro and other people. And he finds out that in Bengal, in the 18th century, there used to be 1 lakh schools. Every village in Bengal in 18th century had a school. The school might not be like St. Thomas and St. George, but they were schools and they were providing more like skill-based education. And those schools had almost equal representation to all castes, including Doms and Chamas, who were seen as untouchables. They were also teachers. Doms were teachers. And this is the record of British officials. It's quoted there on the quote. British was there. They used to create manual for everything. So unke manual, Munro has written on that. So this was there till the 18th century. When British came, they went to the villages, unlike the Mughals and Sultanate. They were mostly urban kingdoms. They used to go to village but come back and remain. With the numbers are very less, Muslims number. This British went into the village to plunder. Their appetite for plunder was so much that they overcharged farmers. And that's why you see Bengal used to be historically the most prosperous provinces historically since the time millennium. You go to Bengal, you see आप कुछ भी डाल दोगे ना वहाँ फसल उग जाएगी, आपको कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Such a beautiful land is there and जो monsoon है, मौसम इतना अच्छा है. Within 15 years of the arrival of British, at 1757 is the Battle of Plassey, when British defeated Sirajuddaula in Bengal and Bengal captured. Within 15 years, when Warren Hastings was there was a famine, one of the biggest, worst famines in the history of Bengal. Within 15 years. So it happened after British came and we continued doing that. So yeah, that is the thing.
And since you're talking about Britishers, so one of your articles mentioned about this whole debate of, India and Pakistan being separated. And at that particular time, we had separate army chiefs. India ke alag the, Pakistan ke alag the. But these two were connected and were reporting to British officials, as in the British were in control. So can we say that sort of when we take this historical debate ki India Pakistan alag kyun hai, Britishers can also be blamed a little for this?
Absolutely. And unfortunately, Congress had no inkling about what was happening. Jinnah had. Jinnah had. But Congress said no entry. In fact, Churchill on record said, even if we leave India, we should have a part of it. What was that part of it? Pakistan. See, they couldn't have left, and they knew by the time that Nehru was an anti-imperialist and in the nature. He will not really rely on American order. He will still towards USSR and China, and that's what happened. They are smarter enough. They are smarter. That's why they ruled. So in the early 40s, they already had the idea that they had to do so. Either they'll have to break Congress and influence them. When they saw 1942 Quit India movement was the turning point, that's why. When they saw that the Western world was fighting the war of their existence, for their existence. Like had Hitler won, everything was over. At that time, in Congress called for Quit India movement, and that time British realized that Congress cannot be taken along with that, and that's where became the rise of Jinnah. Jinnah was not forced 1937. 1937 elections, Jinnah hardly won any seats. All Congress won. What happened within those 5 years? This is what happened. That he was propped by that. And Jinnah also left, since he was propped by British, Jinnah left his secular credentials. Jinnah was a very secular person in core Western sense, I'm saying. And he used to eat pork and everything. He would laugh at people having 5-time namaz and everything. And look at the irony, he became the Qaid-e-Azam of Pakistan. But that's the thing. This thing. So when 1942 Quit India movement happens, and I'm written that thing in this book, Sri Aurobindo sent 2 emissaries in Delhi, saying that please accept it because this is the best chance to avoid partition. Congress still didn't realize it. Sri Aurobindo was a visionary; he could see it. These people couldn't. They refused. So what happened? They created Pakistan. It was actually the creation of the West. There was a lobby who wanted to separate, which Jinnah promoted in the name of religion. But it was on the top, given the great legitimation covered by the British, and that's what happened. Now you're coming to your Kashmir thing. When the India and Pakistan had the British army chief. Why just that? Even we got independence in 1947, 15 August. Even in 48, Nehru is writing to British Prime Minister of that time, saying that we want to have this thing, extend Mountbatten this thing as a viceroy. So problem is with Kashmir. I probably mentioned the Kashmir part. We blame Nehru for saying that he took Kashmir to UNO. UN Security Council. My belief is that I think we would have been forced to take it to UN Security Council because there's no option. We're not that strong enough to resist the British and the American this thing. Where Nehru and the entire Congress government of the time faltered was they refused to cut the umbilical cord with the British system in 1947. They kept Mountbatten at the top. And they kept the British Army Chief as the India's Army Chief. So what happened when the attack happened in 1947 on Kashmir? British Army Chief and the Pakistani Army Chief, they both were British. They were conversation with each other. It is they decided कि अच्छा आप यहाँ गए ठीक है अब इससे आप आगे ना जाए हम भी इससे आगे नहीं जाएंगे. And Nehru is on records asking Army Chief, Indian Army Chief, British Army Chief to attack Pakistan and he refused. So this was the mistake of Nehru. That you sought independence, but you didn't take the power. Because he was self-proclaimed, last Englishman of India. He admired British system. He called himself, I'm the last Englishman of this, last Indian Englishman. So he admired. He saw a great, sense of, civilizational affinity with British system. So that's where the falter happened. And that's why you see, I'll deviate, but I'll say that point. You read the writing of Ambedkar and read the writing of rest of other people who studied in British colleges and everything, including Nehru. You see the difference. Ambedkar studied in America. He was more pragmatic. So his writing was absolutely different. He can take some really, we won't be agree. We can't agree with everything he said. But there was sense of honesty in whatever he believed. He wrote on that, and he was the idea of fresh air. Like in Pakistan, he wrote. You read it even now, and it's ahead of his time. It took other Indians to realize it almost after 5 decades what Ambedkar wrote at that time. So yeah.
Also, in one of your articles, you mentioned about South India, and you specifically mentioned this term, Republic of South India. Okay, so this may sound very communist and also very controversial at the same moment, because at a point we are talking about Bharat Rising, and then we are also talking about terms like Republic of South India.
No, the article was in response to one of the article which a very senior journalist had written. So where he espoused the cause of that how South is developing, and because North they are falling back and everything. So in that context I wrote. Otherwise I believe that there is no such divide. In fact, that's even Aryan and Dravidian divide, which our historian have created, is absolutely false. Absolutely false. And I'll give a very live example. When Ram Mandir happened, one of the largest community of people who came visiting there were from Tamil Nadu.
Wow.
This is against the Dravidian notion. Tamil Nadu has some of the largest temples of Lord Ram and Ma Sita. People don't talk. That's why this is a narrative war. People don't talk about it. Go to fact, dig it out. It's all there. There is no difference in the cultural realm of Sanskrit and Tamil. That's why I'm very open about that. Let North Indians read Tamil. And let Tamil people also read maybe Hindi or Sanskrit or whatever they want to read. Let everyone read. सारा झगड़ा ही खत्म हो जाएगा बस. ये तो झगड़ा तो बनाया गया ना.
True. And moving towards Indian foreign policy, the book specifically mentions about the whole diplomacy factor and the way it's evolving and the way it has evolved rather in last one decade. So I would like to start this conversation from that fact only, that you also in your book, when you're touching the topics related to Indian foreign policy, say that now India's foreign policy has become more aggressive, but yet persistent. Like you are persistent, but you're also aggressive. So how does that works out at the moment?
No, I didn't use the term aggressive. I said it's more proactive.
Proactive.
Yeah. Aggressive is the thing, like I use very, this thing. People say that Nehruvian policy was very benign. I use aggressive for him. Like the way he dealt with...
Foreign policy of Nehru?
Yes. And I'll give example in the book. I said Nehruvian policy was aggressive and very Dharagwa also. When he dealt with USSR, Stalin refused to give audience to Vijay Lakshmi Pandit, who was the ambassador of USSR for quite some time. And Nehru says, okay, please bear with him. He's a big guy. It's okay. Because he was getting upset. Similarly with China. China kept on attacking and doing things, but Nehru somehow kept looking at the other side. In fact, as I'll give you an example, you'll be surprised to know that not just that, we gave up our UNSA seat for China. And it has been offered to us, we refused to take because Nehru thought that first the big brother China should take it. It should never happen in foreign nations policy, diplomacy. Foreign policy should be based on that. But also that it's on record, Rasgotra, M.K. Rasgotra, who was a foreign secretary, very well-known foreign secretary, he wrote in his memoir, a book, which came out in 2016, I suppose. And he talked about how even Kennedy went out of the way to make India the first nuclear state in the Asian continent. And Kennedy believed that in Asia it shouldn't be China but India, because India is a democracy, to have the nuclear power. And Nehru uncle refused to take that because he thought no, this is not. So my point is, when ideology trumps the national interest or pragmatism, then 1962 happens. You have to be pragmatic. And that's why I'll give you an example. I'll not even come to Modi. I'll give you an example of Indira Gandhi. She was extremely pragmatic. 1971, when the war thing started, she didn't immediately launch the war. She waited for her time to come. She started preparing for war from May or April. But actual war started in December. She prepared. And that's why I see the difference. 71 war. We defeated Pakistan comprehensively. We took 93,000 of their soldiers. It's another matter that what we gained on the battlefield, we lost at Simla while on the discussion table. Because again, we didn't have the idea of Pakistan. See, the idea of Pakistan, you need to know what Pakistan is all about. We are told, that strong Pakistan, united Pakistan is good for India. This argument you'll find in our even in JNU and Delhi circles, most Pakistanis will say that. And this is against the basic norm of how diplomacy is conducted. Your neighbor should be weak. No country should allow its neighbor to be strong, for God's sake. But Indian so-called experts always push for that. So that kind of policy, Indira Gandhi was also kind of said कि आप ऐसा करेंगे ना तो जो आपको भुट्टो हैं भुट्टो वाज द प्राइम मिनिस्टर भुट्टो का हाथ कमजोर हो जाएगा एंड फिर आर्मी आ जाएगी अरे हाउ डज इट मैटर आर्मी इज ऑलवेज देयर these people these civilians are always puppet look what happened to Imran Khan once he tried to come out of it he's been fixed and put in the jail so Pakistan is always like that these people never realize to the credit of Modi and that's why I said that this government has looked differently he also started just like typical Indian prime ministers would start including Vajpayee ji and Manmohan Singh by inviting everyone including Nawaz Sharif on the ceremony inauguration of this thing then also went to his home in Lahore and everything all these but once terror attack happened on India he drew the line he realized that this is enough this is not working and unlike other prime ministers like how Vajpayee did Vajpayee went to Lahore he was landed in Kargil From Kargil, he landed in Agra. So there was no match in the action and what Pakistan was doing. Indian leaders lived in their own la la land, and Pakistan used to do whatever they wanted to do till that time. This guy said, nothing doing. We will talk only when you are ready for dialogue. And personally speaking, and this is what I also mentioned in my book, Pakistan said, if you want to talk, I think we have to reorient our talking points.
Reorient as
our talking point. I'll come to that. One, first Pakistan, we have to see that Pakistan changes its basic character. If it's still looking to disintegrate India, you can't talk. One. Second thing is, historically, whenever we have talked to Pakistan, and we have talked quite intensely between 2002 2008. When Mumbai attack happened. And at that time, India had the maximum terror attacks. All cities from Banaras to Delhi to Ahmedabad, they all were attacked at that time, you see. Every, third Friday, you say, acha, koi attack hoga. I was in Hindustan Times at that time. So, hum log assume karte the. So, that was the phase. And that was the time when we used to talk very intensively with Pakistan. So, if talks lead to bomb blasts, I think our citizens deserve to have a good life without bomb blasts. So, let's not talk. Third and most important thing, and that's why I say we need to reorient our policy. What are we going to talk to Pakistan? यदि मैं आपसे बात करता हूँ किसी बारे में तो बात का मतलब ये होता है ना कि अच्छा सर ये 2 सैंडविच है देखिए एक मैं ले लेता हूँ एक आप ले लो तभी बात होगी ना मैं बोला दोनों लूँगा तो बात तो होगी नहीं नाउ इफ यू आर टॉकिंग कश्मीर कैसे बात होगी कश्मीर इंडिया कांट गिव बिकॉज पाकिस्तान हैज ऑलरेडी टेकन POK. So if you are under illusion that you will talk on Kashmir and not give Kashmir and have a successful talk with Pakistan, then you are living in a fool's paradise. So that's why I said we need to reorient our Kashmir policy and that's why government has started doing it now. If they have to talk, the talk will have to be on POK. So that part they have taken and they have not even gone against the UN wish. What UN resolution said, that it will go back to the normal and then there'll be the voting, the thing, which all we talk about, आप लोगों को vote करने दो. Referendum is a word. But referendum, that point people always miss. Referendum will only happen when Pakistan leaves that part of the territory, POK, and takes back and when the situation goes back to the normal. Will Pakistan ever do that? They can't do. अब तो चाइना घुस गया उनका इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बना हुआ है. They can't. So there can't be. So if at all talk will happen on POK. Then only India can also give and take. अच्छा देखो यार आप POK का ये पार्ट ले लो थोड़ा सा मुझे दे दो just and then you will talk about it. On Kashmir they can't be talk. So that clarity has to be there and that's where the mistake happened. One ambassador of Pakistan told me, High Commissioner, former High Commissioner, he told me very categorically and very pragmatically. He said, thanks to God and Pervez Musharraf that we didn't lose Kashmir in 2006-07. because Manmohan Singh in his discussion at that time, Manmohan Singh and Musharraf were in a deep discussion, and there was almost a deal was to be signed. Musharraf at last moment dished out under domestic compulsion. Thank God to him. Otherwise, the idea was to create a demilitarized zone in Kashmir.
Demilitarized?
Yeah, there won't be an army, Indian army in the Kashmir. वो जो पीसनिक वाला जो होता है ना कि आर्मी हटा देंगे. If you remove army from Kashmir, who will come in? You tell me. You are from there. Pakistan will send his army. Let's be realistic about it. But then this was the thing. Thank God to Pervez Musharraf, he didn't sign it. Had he signed that, Kashmir would have been gone for all time to come. Or maybe फिर हम लड़ाई लड़ते कश्मीर से पाकिस्तान से. So that's the reality. That is the problem.
So the Kashmir problem overall is a mix of Britishers, Nehru uncle, as you said,
and of course, the Jinnah's element you can't deny. I definitely he was there, but they all were propped by see Jinnah and the constituency was there who wanted to get separated. There always separation element is there, but they were propped by British. Where the Congress helped, Congress had no inkling what was happening. They were in their own la la land, no ideology and idealistic world and blah blah blah.
And this image that people have, obviously the BJP government has not said this out in public, but कि POK ले लेना चाहिए. Do you support that sort of thing?
अब लेना तो बहुत मुश्किल है. वहाँ चाइना घुस गया है. रियलिस्टिक और बोलना तो बड़ी बात है. People also talk about that entire Pakistan और कि हम बिहार भारत
another level of patriotism.
So yeah, that's another. So it's not easy. But my point is, next discussion should definitely be on POK, not Kashmir.
With Pakistan.
Yeah. If there has to be a serious discussion, a serious one. See, let's be honest. India will never keep Kashmir. India जब खत्म हो जाए तो दे देगा. No government has the power to do that. Trust me for that. So India will never give. So हो गया. Pakistan wants Kashmir, na? So that discussion can't. Discussion, your understanding does not happen. That POK, since you took POK, tell me whether you want to keep that or you want to give some part of it. Maybe on that discussion can happen. So yeah.
And geographically जब आप इंडिया की बात करते हैं, the countries around India, China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and even Maldives, all these countries are now sort of in that position with India where it's like a status quo, or they are not very good allies that you can trust. We have good allies, but वो फिर आपके वेस्ट में चले जाते हैं. US हो गया, रशिया हो गया. So that thing.
There is a beautiful theory in Arthashastra, Chanakya Arthashastra. That's why I think we need to look back at our past. And then once we know that, then we know that we shouldn't be too worried about it. Arthasastra's Mandala theory is there, Mandal theory. And that says that your neighbor cannot be your friend. Don't be under illusion. Your neighbors never can be your friend. That's a Mandal theory of Chanakya, Kautilya, Arthashastra जिसने लिखा. So that says that your neighbor cannot be your friend. So all these are your neighbors can be. Neighbors never can be your friend. So Afghanistan can be your friend. China's neighbor is Russia can be your friend. China cannot be your friend. If you're under illusion, you have to deal with them. See, they will always want to see. आपका neighbor चाहे I have seen Bihar, my land is there. So मेरा जो neighbor है ना always क्या उसका जो boundary वाला है ना थोड़ा सा push करते रहता है. वो क्या bamboo का होता है. So either tendency they will push. And after a few years, they say, ये तो हमारा यही land है भाई, यही मिला. So there will always be a tendency. There will always be a kind of rivalry. वहाँ भी अच्छी दोस्ती हो सकती है.
Territory expansion.
वहाँ भी मतलब you can make a manageable relation, but it cannot be completely like जय and वीरू की दोस्ती. जय and वीरू दोस्ती आपको रशिया से हो सकती है. आपसे उससे आप नहीं यूएसए से नहीं होगी. That I said I'll have a reason for that. रशिया से आपकी हो सकती है क्योंकि रशिया have a common in between China, USSR, Russia is equally worried about China. See, look at Russia, Putin's Russia, and that's what I wrote that Americans have no clue what they're doing. Russia, Putin always wanted to be part of the Western order when he came to power. Bill Clinton is on record saying that he was keen to join the Western club. This Western deep state and intelligentsia, they still are in that Cold War mode. So उनको लगता है कि बस और also there is armament जो उनकी वो जो कंपनीज होती हैं they want to अभी देखिए ना उनकी सारी सामान बिक गया यूक्रेन में सब बेच दिया उन्होंने. So some country can be so foolish as Ukraine to let the country turn into Afghanistan of the Europe, then let it be, they are happy. So My point was that Russia would have been ideal foil for West against China. Look at this. Had they won over Putin and India was there in support of them, what would have been the position of China today? Completely locked. This foolish Biden and they don't do an inkling about it. They pushed Putin on the lap of Xi Jinping, and Xi Jinping must be laughing today. Had the best time. चलो आप कर लो, क्या करते हो? आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते. Russia has all the nuclear weapons. क्या कर लोगे आप? So strong आपने दे दिया. On platter you gave a strong nation who could have been your ally to China. So this is the problem, and this is where the Mandala theory, I believe, that we shouldn't be too worried about it. We have to manage. See, हम अपने जो neighbors को हम manage करते हैं. हम बोलते हैं neighbors से झगड़ा नहीं करना चाहिए. No, don't show your this. Manage it. पार्किंग का इशू हो गया, कोई बात नहीं भैया, थोड़ा पे लगा लो, ऐसे कर लो. वी ऑलवेज भी खिटपिट होगा कि अरे आपने कूड़ा मेरे सामने गेट पे क्यों रख दिया. वो आई हैव टू मैनेज इट, एंड दैट्स व्हाट इंडिया हैज टू डू. इंडिया शुड नॉट बी अंडर इल्यूजन that we will have some great relationship with all these countries, including Nepal. It's difficult. नहीं होगा भाई, चाहे कितनी नेपाल इज सपोजली a Hindu state, but नहीं हो सकता because they will be खिटपिट. Also they will be power. अच्छा ये बड़ा आदमी है, एक घर में मान लीजिए आपके बड़े भाई वो क्या होते हैं, वो BMW चलाते हैं और आप साइकिल पे आते हैं, तो आपको खराब लगेगा. That's a really. चाहे आप या तो फिर आप you are from Ramayana and you are Bharat and his Ram, but generally most people are not like that. So that is the reality.
So this can be never be
Yeah,
solved.
and we should be managing it, and these are manageable things. See, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh.
You were explaining something about US can never be
Yes.
friends.
Yeah, coming to see with India and US, there is fundamental differences in the interest point of view. So in India and US and the West can be friends, if not frenemies, but can never be allies. वो allies जैसे हम और यूएस थे ना, वैसे allies हम कभी नहीं हो सकते. And look at example, CA happened, and to look at the America statement just came completely uncalled for, that we are keeping a close watch on what India is doing. What has America to do with CA? What the hell? Is India a colony? But then they want to flaunt. They want to also put a bit of check on Modi. So this is what I'm saying, that India and West will always have some issues with each other, but they will also kind of handle this, manage, because there is an elephant in the room called China. They will have to manage it. So West cannot handle China without India. India also cannot handle China without West. So this is where they will fight, they will bicker.
This is the grayscale.
Yeah,
basically.
they will fight, they will bicker, but they will again say, okay, चल नहीं यार, हम तो democracy हैं, oldest and the largest democracy हैं, and हम फिर गले मिलेंगे. But then this will happen. But again, like the neighborhood, this is something we have to manage, and I think that's what has been the government has been doing.
Also, since we are speaking about America, so when I hear the word America, there are a lot of liberal media outlets that come into my mind. Washington Post, New York Times, and all that stuff. And even in India also, like you have mentioned in your book about the Lutyens media culture. And ये जो term बहुत use होता है, Godi media. So this is always in news. Whenever a government, whenever a news platform is telling about something that the government has done, the BJP government has done, or the Modi government has done, एक उनको टैग लग जाता है कि ये गोदी मीडिया है, कि ये गोदी मीडिया को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं. तो दिस होल नैरेटिव राइड्स अलोंग विद दिस. सो व्हाट डू यू फील अबाउट दिस?
This
Provided you are from News 18 only.
No, this will happen. See, what is happening today, we are living in a world where, you will be tagged for whatever you do. Even you will be tagged, trust me. If you think that, that people will see after maybe a year, you're too young, so people have not started judging you. But their time will come when you will start influencing, then that very day you will be judged. नहीं यार, ये तो ये दिखा रहा है कुछ, लेकिन ये है. He is a sip in the system. So this is how the world is we are in right now. But see, one should not give too much of this thing. One should be honestly doing what is right, and this has always happened. This is not something which which is new. See, what is happening in India's case? What is happening is truly, in a true sense, last 7 decades, for the first time, there is change in the establishment. Government might have changed, and that establishment is, people call it Lutyen gangs and whatever, Lutyen Delhi, whatever you call it. For the first time, there has been change in the people who influenced the power corridors who had access to the power corridors of Delhi. This happened for the first time. Every country has their elites. Americans too have their elites. Every country will have. Power होगा तो elite होंगे ही. But in India it was unique that last 7 decades, the same elite you were in power, in the corridor of power, same elite. Even when, Vajpayee came to power, and he was there for quite a long time, he tried to co-opt with the same ecosystem. He didn't challenge it. And an example is, that he gave Bharat Ratna to Amartya Sen of all people, who was very critical of him. This was in a way to buy their allegiance, to buy their, legitimacy. They were seen as something very powerful. इसको मिला लेते हैं साथ में. Too clever than half.
Lure them basically.
No, but but I see they're too clever than half. It doesn't work. It didn't work. They continue to criticize him. After you get the Nobel Prize, then you become all the more powerful. And when you criticize, then global resonance is there. So, but then they thought they can manage it. So, I mean, like Narasimha Rao. Narasimha Rao was in that way outsider in the sense that he was not from Gandhi family. The Lutyens world were not very comfortable with him. But even his memoir is called The Insider. So he was so keen to become insider that he kept his book's name Insider. So that's how it is, But Modi, when he came to power in 2014, he ensured that he doesn't have to do anything to do that. He could have easily co-opted the same people in 2019. Well, it was very easy. Some of the people would have happily joined. Because 2019 after 5 years, see, everyone wants to have power ka. It's a very ये नशा है भैया. Power का जो access होता है ना. I see some of the journalists now they don't have power and they used to be so powerful that one lady I remember Taslima Nasruddin told me that Taslima Nasruddin, when she was hounded out of Bengal and no one knew where she was. So she came to Delhi and she told me at 9 o'clock when I reached my guest house where I put in by the government, UP government of that time, that lady journalist, the super journalist was there. Beforehand waiting for her. I will not name her, she's very accessible in JNK too. But my point is, this is what called access of power. So that access is gone. And it really hurts when access. कल आपको सारे मिनिस्टर हेलो जी कैसे हो आप अरे आइए ना आज आपसे बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. It hurts. It really hurts. So that's where the part of that intolerance debate comes up. That they're intolerant because they're not talking to me. What they have done is they have cut your access, but they've given access to some other. They've given access to maybe me. They've given access to you. But they've not given to access of people with certain title like Thapas or to Dattas or whatever. So this is where the entire intolerance debate or or the attack happened. And these people are very well connected globally. Also, what happens? Global media works largely. Whatever you say, American media, for instance, work with whatever the national policy is. Look at their coverage of Ukraine. They have completely. Have they ever tried to even reach out to Putin? Have they ever interviewed Putin? The only one guy what is his name? I forget his name. Who interviewed just now after 3 years. Tursky, what is his name? Just one guy. You just Google it, you'll find it. No one has ever tried to even interview Putin. The basic.
This guy did.
Just one guy did just now, 2 months back. So my point is, for a media, we should talk to everyone. Na? We should talk to when there is war. We should talk to Modi, and we should also talk to Nawaz Sharif or his brother, who is the Prime Minister today. For media, everyone is there. But then American media doesn't. American media has taken a stand, and American media, as I said, West cannot be India's allies in that way. That they're not very comfortable with the rise of India beyond a point. They want to see India well. But then इतना ऊपर हो जाओ कि यार मेरे कंधे पे आप आ जाओ वहाँ पे रहो. Be like this. So this is what it is.
Okay, sir. Moving towards the end of this conversation, this was a very, very elaborative discussion. I was actually enjoying every bit of it, not getting zoned out, to be very honest.
Thank you.
So, since you wrote this book, there must have been a lot of research that you did, especially concerning the history and the culture of India that exists. What do you feel is the great India dream? People say in US the great American dream, or the American dream they want to live, or even people from India or other countries that go to US say this, I want to live that American dream. But what is the Indian dream?
That's very difficult question to answer actually. Because India is such a country that everyone will have a different dream, a collective dream. I suspect is Indian don't have, but yeah, but I can sense that things are unlike in the past where the dream was to go in the West and have a luxurious life. I think that thing is slightly changing. There is more awakening in that way towards who I am, like as an Indian, who I am. Who they're more conscious about the identity, cultural identity, civilization identity, which till the other day was something like a big no-no. Apologetic about it. I mean, slogans like "Garv se kaho hum Hindu hai." I grew up in that slogan in Bihar, and the slogan was nothing but kind of insecurity. You don't have to say "Garv se kaho hum Hindu." Why you have to say that? Be proud of being Hindu. You don't have to say that. Yeah, if you are aware, you are aware. You don't say that. If you are saying that, you are not convinced about it. So from there to today, when I see people quite confident about their identity. So this is what I believe. I believe that today's generation. I have a huge hope with today's generation, and that's why I have a hope with India. This rising. Today's generation knows what they want. They're technically, technologically very aware, modern in their outlook, but they also are not averse to owning up their civilizational past. So they're keeping their feet in the civilizational roots. Who I am. Cutting across religion, caste, whatever it is, and with their vision to look ahead towards a modern, technological world. So I think that's what the future I see.
I hope so the young people understand it.
I think they are. I have said it many times, and so at the risk of repeating, I'll say, like I was there in Banaras last month, and 25 days ago. And I was roaming on the ghats of Banaras. And for book only I had gone to BHU, I had gone there. So I saw most of the crowd were just like you and me. A young crowd was there. This was not the case, say, some in 2014 when I was there last. 2013-14 I was there. So at that time, I saw old crowd. They were more like people who are going there for liberation kind of thing. We have hum bhagwan ke usko aa raha hai. Today, young generation were like me and you, and they also brought their young ones. Young kids were there, going in the ghats. कोई दिखा रहा था, this is that ghat, this is that ghat, अच्छा वो building है. So for me that was like the young India, young Indian experiencing the old civilizational Bharat, because Banaras is the oldest city in the world. So that kind of interaction is now going on, where young modern India is going back and experiencing and exploring the old world. I think this is kind of a future which I'm talking about. This is a fascinating time we are in.
Definitely. I guess that was all from my side. I hope so I was able to do justice to the conversation.
Always, as always. Yes. So thank you. It was a pleasure. And
Thank you so much.
allow people to talk and you have a knack of finding out what you want to hear. So that's a beauty.
You are a journalist. You know this better than me.
So it was wonderful. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being on AP Podcast, sir.
Thank you.